Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec, and this week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday gang. We share ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches and your dies. I'm going to put links to Ronnie's, Kathy's, and Krista's channels below, so be sure to check them out. And here's what I'm going to be doing today. I will be creating all of those embellishments, so I'm going to be stamping, punching, die cutting, and doing some punch art. But I'm also going to talk about using tools. I'm going to be talking about tool stash diving. Now, when I started this project, this is what I had in mind. They are products from the World of Good suite from Stampin' Up. I have dies, stamps, an embossing folder, and paper and more, actually. But before starting the project, I had a quick peek into my tool stash just to see if I had anything else there that would support my theme, which is going to be old world travel, I guess. And this is what I came up with. And most of this, except for that tag punch, I haven't touched in a long time. So I did do some preparation in advance. I prepared that frame style foundation with 3 sheets of paper, and I gutted 2 of them. And there is a tutorial on my channel where I create a frame foundation, so I'll link it up below. I matted my 2 photos in advance with the cardstock that I gutted from behind my foundation page, and here's the paper that I have selected. I also have a pile of coordinating cardstock that I plan to create my embellishments with later on. That's what I'm showing you right now, including that brass colored foil cardstock. It's super cool. It's a new product from Stampin' Up. Now, before jumping in, I do want to talk about 2 tricks that I use that get me using my tools. Now, number one, sometimes I buy a tool and I usually absolutely love it, but it doesn't get used. It's almost like I'm waiting for the perfect page or the perfect photos or something. Well, if I do that, I'll never use it. So one trick I use is, in this case, for example, I bought this 3 months ago and I hadn't touched it. So I took the dies and the embossing folder with some scraps of paper and I just ran it through my Big Shot. Basically, there was no project, there was no pressure. But what I did do was I learned, number one, how to use the tool. Those detailed globes there, they wouldn't work with my base plate for the Big Shot. I had to use the precision plate. And that embossing folder, by using it, I got a great idea for my journaling for this project. But most importantly, it got me going with it. The second piece of advice, I guess I'd like to say, is when I create a project, and I think this is good for everybody, before actually starting, once I have my theme selected, I take a couple minutes, 3-5 minutes maybe, just to have a quick peek at my tools. And sometimes I find tools that will support my theme, like I did here today. However, more importantly, what it does is it reminds me of the tools that I have in my stash, that I've already bought. And that is great for future projects because it makes me remember what I have in my stash. I've been scrapbooking a long time and teaching scrapbooking a long time, and I find lots of people don't know what they actually have in their tool stash. So I definitely recommend having a quick peek frequently. It just helps you use your stuff. Now what you see me doing is creating my foundation page, and this foundation page actually is a go-to design that Christina Sorge from the Secret Not Secret Kit Club taught me. She also has an online shop called Redefine Creative, and I'll link up that information below. But I recently took a class from her, and this was one of her go-to designs that she showed us, and it's really fun. Now, I'm not going to adhere that border to the page quite yet because I do want to add some ink splatters. So in that yellow bowl, I put 2 to 3 drops of Stampin' Up! Re-Inker. I added 3 squirts of water, and now I'm taking a paintbrush. I'm holding it about 7 or 8 inches above my paper, and I'm flicking it with my other finger. So I'm just doing that in the bottom right and the top left, and that is where my embellishment clusters will go later on. So I'm going to adhere my border kind of to the top of the page. This is going to be a top heavy design. And then what I'll do is adhere one of the 2 photos. One of the photos here, I'm going to back it in this, it's like a pocket style card, like a project lifestyle card. It's also part of this World of Good collection. I just ripped the bottom of it. I'm not going to adhere the second photo quite yet because I know I plan to place my journaling on the right hand side of this page, on the right hand side of this border, and I don't know how much room it's going to take at this point, so I'm going to wait to adhere this second photo. What I'm going to do now is start the decoration creation process, and that's going to be the biggest part of this video right now. I'm starting with the World of Good suite, and I'm going to stamp a feather. It's going to be like a quill, I guess. I do it in two colors because I'm not quite sure what I like. I end up doing it in this cinnamon cider, which is basically tone on tone, and I'll do it in black as well. There is a die for this stamp set, so I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. You'll see it in a minute. And I'll also run a few of the other pieces through my Big Shot. And this is being done with the magnetic base platform. That's what I mostly use. And once I do that, what you're going to see me do is change the base platform. I'm going to end up using the precision plate, and that is what I'm going to be using to cut out the detailed globes. And I'll be doing that in that brass foil paper. That's what I'm doing right now, and it actually looks really cool. I do stop the camera after this and I adhere a few pieces together so you'll see what it looks like. So that's phase one of my embellishments, but now I'm going to go on to create a few more things. First, I'm going to create a few tags here, and that is a tag topper punch from Stampin' Up, and I am going to list all the tools I'm using in the information box below, and I just cut those tags from those project lifestyle cards. And now what you see me doing is getting out this stamp. It's from a collection called That's the Ticket, a really old one from Stampin' Up, and it comes with a coordinating punch. And now I'm stamping the date there, July. And that is a stamp set that's new to me, from close to my heart, but I bought it secondhand. It's the first time I'm using it. So I punched out those tickets. I took that month stamp and I added a bit more detail to it. It's the precise date is what I added to it, and then I punched it out with a circle punch. And now what you see me doing is creating a suitcase. So I took one of those project lifestyle cards, cut it in half, and now I'm taking a square punch. I cut out a small square that's 3/4 of an inch, and around it I used a 1-inch square, so it ultimately created a square ring, I guess. That's going to be the handle of my suitcase. And with that small square that I cut out, I'm cutting it into 4 triangles, and those are going to go in the corners of my suitcase. Also, I forgot to mention, I cut out 2 long black strips. That again is with another Stampin' Up punch. It will be listed below. I don't know the name offhand, but basically it's strips and the ends are pointy. So what you're going to see me do is trim off one of the pointy ends, and then I'm going to adhere it kind of flush to the bottom of that suitcase. That's what I'm doing right now. I do the same with the top, and then I'll take the top and kind of roll it a bit with that bone folder, and that is a strap that goes around the suitcase. And I'm taking a really tiny hole punch right now, or a circle punch, just making a little brass circle, and I'm going to put it on that strap like a snap on the suitcase. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little suitcase tag, I guess, to that suitcase. Now, when I punched out those tickets, on that ticket punch, there's like this mini ticket, so I saved them. I'm taking a hole punch, punching out a little hole, and I'm going to add a bit of twine. So it's like a little luggage tag. It's really, really cute. Then I stop the camera and I do create 2 more suitcases. One of them ends up being a little bit smaller. You'll see that in a minute. And now what I'll be ready to do is start embellishing my page. But what I did off camera as well is I did my journaling, and I typed it with that We Are Memory Keepers typewriter that I haven't touched at least in 2 years. I don't particularly like it, but it did work out well in this case. And then I took my journaling and I ran it through the Big Shot here. So now what I'm going to do, I ran it through the Big Shot with that embossing folder, which is called Old World Paper or something like that. It will be in the description box below. So I ripped around the edges and I'm adding a bit of ink, and I do like how that looks. So now I have a whole bunch of embellishing as well as my journaling. I did put my title on wax paper. Those are letters from Simple Stories. So it's going to be Dublin 2017. And now what you're going to see me do is kind of work around 3 areas. I put the journaling there, I put the suitcases at the bottom, the tags at the top, and that is basically how I create embellishment clusters. I kind of go around. Mostly the clusters are going to be in the top left and kind of in the bottom middle there where you see the 2 suitcases and the globe. This is basically going to be a diagonal design. So I'm going with the larger pieces and then I come in with the smaller pieces. I struggle a bit with these tickets. I do like them. I curled them as well with the bone folder. I didn't want them to be flat, 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 but you're going to see I kind of move them around a little bit. I put that globe at the bottom. I put another globe at the top. I really do like that date stamp there, the date circle that you see at the top. And yeah, what basically, like I said, I'm going back and forth, starting with the bigger pieces and then tucking in the smaller pieces. At the top there, I ended up covering up most of those paint splatters. So at one point when I turn off the camera, I actually add a few more and you will see that. So now I'm happy with the placement of everything. I've really sped this up because the video is getting really, really long, but I'm quite literally adhering all of these embellishments exactly where I had placed them. And a few of them I pop up on foam adhesive, including the suitcase. You see me doing that right now. I did it with a date in the top left, and I end up doing it with the inkwell bottle, which is with those quills that go at the bottom of my journaling box. What you see me doing right now is adding another little layer, another strip of paper just above that photo, kind of in the middle right. And it's part of that embellishment cluster. I put a piece there, I took it out, I ended up ripping it, and later on at the stills in the end of this video, that didn't come out right, but in the still photos at the end of this video, I end up removing that strip that's at the bottom in that cinnamon cider color just above the word Dublin, and I rip that one as well. All I'm doing here is adding reinforcers to those 2 tags at the top of the page. So I used a hole punch and then a 1/2-inch circle punch, and then I'll come in with a little bit of twine, and that basically is pretty much it. The 2 things I'd really like you to take away from this video with regards to using your tools is, if you find yourself not using your tools for whatever reason, in my case I was almost intimidated by them, use them without a project in mind. Just get going with them and it will get the creative juices flowing. The second thing I recommend is frequently going through your tool staff. Not long, 3 to 5 minutes, even less. Just have a look at what you have when you're about to start a project, and it will help you learn or remember what you have in your stash. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. Don't forget to check out the other ladies. Their links are all listed below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.